Boys and girls, I'm here to read some Winn Dixie. So last chapter was kind of intense. Opal went to the back of Gloria Dump's yard, and Gloria Dump showed her her tree and all the bottles hanging in it, and they talked about how you should be judged not on your past, but on what you do right now. Because remember, Opal was talking about Otis and if she should be working for him or hanging around him. So today we're going to read chapter 15. The Herman W. Block Library's air conditioning unit didn't work very good. And there was only one fan. And from the minute me and Winn Dixie got into the library, he hogged it all. He lay right in front of it and wagged his tail and let it blow his fur all around. Some of his fur was pretty loose and blew right off him like a dandelion. I worried about him hogging the fan, and I worried about the fan blowing him bald. But Miss Franny said not to worry about either of those things, that Winn Dixie could hog the fan if he wanted. And she had never in her life seen a dog be made bald by a fan. Sometimes, when Miss Franny was telling a story, she would have a fit. They were small fits, and they didn't last long. But what happened was, she would forget what she was saying. She would just stop and start to shake like a leaf. And then when that happened, Winn Dixie would get up from the fan and sit right next to Miss Franny Block's side. He would sit up tall, protecting her with his ears, standing up straight on his head, like soldiers. And then when Miss Franny Block stopped shaking and started talking again, Winn Dixie would lick her hand and lie back down by her side. Whenever Miss Franny had one of her fits, it reminded me of Winn Dixie in a thunderstorm. Oh, remember that? There were a lot of thunderstorms that summer, and I got real good at holding on to Winn Dixie whenever they came. I held on to him and comforted him and whispered to him and rocked him, just the way he tried to comfort Miss Franny when she had her fits. Only I held on to Winn Dixie for another reason, too. I held on to him tight so he wouldn't run away. It all made me think about Gloria Dump. I wondered who comforted her when she heard those bottles knocking together in the tree, like ghosts chattering about the things that she had done wrong. I wanted to comfort Gloria Dump. I decided the best way to do that would be to read her a book, to read it out loud to her to keep her ghosts away. And so I asked Miss Franny Block, I said, Miss Franny, I got a grown-up friend whose eyes are going out on her. I would like to read her a book out loud. Do you have any suggestions? Suggestions, said Miss Franny. Yes, ma'am, I have suggestions. Of course I have suggestions. How about Gone with the Wind? It's funny because that happens to be one of my favorite books. What's that about? I asked her. Why, Miss Franny said, it's a wonderful story about the Civil War. The Civil War? I asked. Don't tell me you've never heard about the Civil War. Miss Franny Block looked like she was going to faint. She waved her hands in front of her face. I know about the Civil War, I told her. That was the war between the South and the North over slavery. Slavery, yes, Miss Franny. It was also about states' rights and money. It was a terrible war. My great-grandfather fought in that war. He was just a boy. Your great-grandfather? Yes, ma'am. Litmus W. Block. Remember that name, okay? Now there's a story. Winn Dixie yawned. laid back, yawned real big, and lay back down on his side with a thump and a sigh. I swear he knew the phrase, "Now there's a story," and he knew it meant we were going to be here for a while. "Go ahead and tell it to me, Miss Franny," I said, and I sat down cross-legged next to Winn Dixie. I pushed him, tried to get him to share the fan, but he pretended he was asleep, and he wouldn't move. I was all settled in and ready for a good story when the door banged and pinched-faced Amanda came in. Winn Dixie sat up and stared at her. He tried out a smile on her, but she didn't smile back, and so he lay down again. "I'm ready for another book," Amanda said, slamming her book down on the counter. Miss Franny looked up and said, "Well, maybe you wouldn't mind waiting. I am telling India Opal a story about my great-grandfather. You are, of course, more than welcome to listen. It will just be 1 minute." Amanda sighed, a real dramatic sigh, and stared past me. She pretended like she wasn't interested, but I could tell she was. "Come sit over here," said Miss Franny. "I'll stand. Thank you." "Suit yourself," Miss Franny laughed. Now, where was I? Oh, yes, litmus. Litmus W block. I'm going to stop there. That's the end of the chapter. Next time, chapter 16. See you next time, guys.